Okay, we are recording. Good morning, everyone. We are back again doing our Tuesday talk. It is December now, and this is our last one for this year. And we decided to do something different, the three of us, just bringing the whole year 2020 up front. I call it the year of growth. And this year, this topic this time, it's about where we are in life. There's three zones we're going to be talking about today. One is the fear zone, one is the learning zone, and then the last one is the growth zone and how we move beyond that. So before I get started, like always, we have a disclaimer that any information we provide here right now today is just for informations only. It is not intended to cure, diagnose, treat any disease, condition, or illness that you might be feeling and having. And if you decide to take any notes, any things about this talk you want to implement to your care, just discuss with the doctor first. So here we are. So we've been on this panel all year. Since May when we started on this Tuesday talk, and it's been amazing. It's been a lot of people been looking forward to hear the talks. We did the summit this year. So the three of us have been pretty much the soundboard of this. We are the panel, and so we're excited. We thought we closed this last one, just the three of us, and just bring forth about the zones and some of our experience that we learn from and things that helped us move through the process. So first, I'm going to open with a quote that says, "Life is 100% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it." And that quote is by Charles Winslow. So we're going to begin with the first zone, and we're going to just tear it all apart. It's the fear zone. So we took a lot of notes here that we're going to be referencing our notes because it's going to be a great topic. We're going to try to digest in 30 minutes. People feel safe and in control when they're in the comfort zone. That could be, even if they're in the fear zone, they're still comfortable with what they're doing. They're used to doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, they're stuck. They don't know how to move forward. And in order to move forward, we got to grow. So I want to begin with the fear zone. When we talk about the fear, I call it the panic zone as well. And the answer is fear is the only thing that's holding us back. And when we ask ourselves, am I in that zone? So one of the things that you ask yourself is, how do you respond to people's emotions? Do you feel like you are not just the fear, but you feel like aggravated, you feel miserable, you feel very irritated about people's, not just emotions, but how they respond to things around you. Irritated, we talked about that. You find excuses about something. So you try to find, if you're scared about making a move on something, you find an excuse, well, either blame something or blame someone. And so that would be something that make an excuse about the fear zone. So for this year, we're just thinking about some of the things that gave us fear, that whatever it was in 2020, it could be anything. And we love to hear from you after we finish with this talk here. We love to get some comments, feedbacks, just share with everyone, what is it that you were in the fear zone and what you did to move forward, and it just so it can help other people understand that process. So that would appreciate if you take a few minutes to do that. So for example that I want to use, and that everyone knows about this, one of my biggest fears that created, and many times we tend to be fear of making a mistake. We're so used to be doing something one way. And for me, learning this new technology with Zoom, that was, I know there was a fear around me on that. And I was making excuse. I was just afraid that how's it gonna happen, and not knowing the unknown, that causes a lot of fear. So that was just one of the examples I wanted to share about for me was one of the fears. And we have many of them, but I want to begin with that. So would now Pam want to go around and start talking, giving some feedbacks about fear?
Martha, I guess I could go.
Okay.
I did some thinking about this because I knew it was our subject. And I thought to myself, fear shows us 3 different faces. One is fight, flight, or freeze. So I was thinking about this and I thought maybe the best way is to demonstrate something that happened in my life so people could get a handle on all this, how deep fear can go. When I was in my 20s, I left my husband and I was in the process of a divorce. During that time, I lived with my parents and I had a job. And one day I go to work, I go outside and the car is missing. What happened? I had a terrible day at work because I was in total unknown and I was in great fear. I come home, and also I was very naive at that time. I didn't even know my license plate. So that evening I come home, I call my husband and I said, "Do you have the car?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Why'd you do that?" And he said, "Well, my truck broke. I needed it. And you may as well know the bank is going to repossess the house in a week. And I sold the furniture." I was stunned. And I remember laying on the sofa. My arm was over my head, my eyes. And that was freeze. I went into freeze. At that time, I already had a lawyer. And the lawyer recommended to me, you know what? Get a truck, clean out the house. And I said, I can't do that. We both work. There's enough to share and we can share everything. Well, you know what happened to me. Anyway, now I go into flight. I fire my lawyer because I thought I needed a more powerful lawyer. I panicked. This was a terrible time in my life. Anyway, it was a painful year. During that time, I faced many internal, I call them dragons, fears within myself. Fortunately, I was already at the beginning of my spiritual awakening. I was studying yoga under Yogi Amrit Desai, and I was in the safety of my parents' home. But anyway, that was the first time anyone ever tried to harm me. And that was my battle with fear. Anyway, I have grown up a lot since that time. So Martha, it's back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I can relate to what you just said, Asha. Just very quickly, I remember when I was 17, my mother passed away and I was the oldest and the youngest sibling was just 24 hours old. So she died childbirth. And so it's like, where's a book that's going to tell you what to do next? And so I can completely understand the phases of not only the shock, figure out what to do next. And you place yourself in this whole different mode of survival mode, and you sort of numb the pain, and there's fear around it as well, because you know you have these siblings that are going to now rely on you and be able to move forward in life. So I completely understand exactly how you describe your fear, Asha. Thank you for sharing. Julie?
Well, it's interesting. Fear, I think, is an interesting topic because for some people, fear makes them kind of withdraw. And because they're fearful, they don't know what they're going to do next or how they're going to proceed. It makes them freeze, like you guys said. But I view fear a little differently. For me, fear is a motivator for me. I have this affirmation that I use all the time. It's called doing it scared, but doing it anyway. And for me, fear is a way comfort zone, if I'm afraid and I need to get past that, and the only way to get past it is to do it, right? So doing it scared, but doing it anyway. The other quote I always like to use is, I decide what is.
Mm-hmm. I'm
the one who decides what is. So I always say, even though I'm scared or I'm fearful of the unknown, or I'm afraid if I make the wrong decision, what that's going to, mean. And I decide what is. And I decide that at the end of the day, no matter how scared I am or how fearful I am moving forward with something, I'm going to do it anyway, because I decide that my path is inevitable. And that's just an attitude that I keep around fear, so that I don't have fear hold me back. I just use it as a way to push me forward and get past it. So, for some people, well, wait, fear is supposed to make deep. I guess that fear.
Julie, it sounds like you freezing there. So I want to piggyback while you come back with maybe your website. Your internet collapsed there a minute. I want to add what Julie Lynn just mentioned. There is an acronym that I found and I use quite a lot. The acronym for the word fear, which is the FEAR. It's false evidence appearing real. One of the things that I wanted to mention on my notes in here, looks like you're back, Julie.
I am. I think I'm back. I didn't want to interrupt.
You go ahead, because you were freezing again, so I jumped in. You go ahead. You were finishing up. You were saying.
No, it's fine. I think people need to see fear as a way to push forward.
Mm-hmm.
Use fear as a motivator, and instead of going into fright or freeze, or stay in your comfort zone, try something different and use it as a way to push past that, and maybe some great things will happen for you. I
agree with you. Yes, motivator. It's more like a, this little sting or match that's just gonna get you moving. Another thing that I want to add to that as well, it's adding to what Julie Lynn just said. It's also become aware. What is it that that you are afraid of? Become aware. I always said, if you can name it, you can claim it. And when you know that, okay, my gosh, that was just an experience. It's just an emotion that just keeps coming up, and I'm not in danger anymore. I'm safe now. I am home. I'm 20 years older, and I'm in a very good time in life. So it's just, I always say, if you can name it, you can claim it. And ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen to you? You feel like this is something that's still holding you down. Let's see what else I have here written down. Anything else that everybody want to add before we go into the next zone? You good? So, looking at this whole, and the flyer that we put out there the last week on the 3 circles, the fear, and it comes the learning zone, and it comes, the growth zone. So in order for us to move into the learning zone is that internal transformation needs to happen. So you become more aware of what was going on at the fear zone, and now you're at a time in life that, okay, you got to move forward. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to change. And you are the ones going to make this happen, not anyone else. No one else going to make it for you. So knowing that, become aware, what lessons do I need to learn from this for me to learn go to the learning zone? How can things that even that cause pain, things that were so much fear, and there was so much afraid of making a move, looking back and taking a backseat and just taking pause and just learn and decide, okay, I did this way, and somehow it worked somehow, or maybe it didn't work. So now you're aware of didn't or didn't, and just become to tweak that. So how to identify the fear. So for this zone, I said it's a self-transformation that needs to happen. Begin to be more comfortable with those feelings. These are my notes. You did something one way, and now you acquire a new skill to be able to move forward into the learning zone. Give up what you cannot control. That's a big one. And I'm just saying from experience that, like I said at the beginning, it's only 10% that we need to worry about, and the 8% is just nothing. Become aware of the situation and think how to act and what lessons am I learning from this today. Become aware of your feelings and take a pause. One of the things that when I talk about the learning zone, at the end of the day, for me, it was the attitude that I'm taking about this, how I envision this. So if we're going to be always with the negative thoughts and always, just being always negative about things, that impacts to our thinking, and even just thoughts of, even if we don't say anything, but it's just, the thoughts as well affects that. But to me, it's the attitude that we have about anything, about life, about situations, about ourselves. It affects the way how we move forward from the fear into the learning zone. Asha?
Well, with learning, we can learn every day of our life, every moment of our life.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been said many times. There's no such thing as mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at that, it's just things we go through, and we really do the best we can in every moment, especially when we're a little bit older, because we now are gaining wisdom. I'm not saying old, I'm just saying when you're young, you kind of react all the time in your actions. But you through that, you begin to learn more, you slow it down, and you realize there's a lot to be learned in life experiences, and that equals wisdom, and it continues to grow. And the one thing is, it's better to make decisions instead of sitting on a fence and letting life go by. You just have to do the best you can, try to gather all the facts that you can, and make a decision. And many times that whatever you did, something goes wrong, goes amok, surprises you. But again, that's the way you learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well said, Asha. Thank you. Julie, Lynn?
So I think, learning is something that I love to do. I'm constantly learning something new. I love to learn. And I think this year has been a challenge for everybody for a number of reasons. And one thing I think that I have seen with clients that I've been talking to, and friends and family, that people have really been stepping out of their comfort zones and learning to adapt to a new way of thinking, to a new way of doing things that they used to do, taking their health a little more seriously. So I think that we should all strive to learn something new and step outside of our comfort zone. And I know I try to learn something new every day. And I am really kind of proud of the way people have been doing that this year, especially. And I think that a lot of people are going to start to maybe even make learning and stepping outside of their comfort zone thing, which I think is great. And maybe it's a silver lining at the end of the day with everything that's been going on, is that people are really starting to take their health seriously, starting to learn new ways to do their daily activities. And I think it's great. So learning is a good thing. And I think we should all strive for that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Julie Lynn. Adding to that, I think people also need to not just think outside, when you say thinking outside the box, is just looking for those people that are going to be your cheerleaders. You're going to be the people that are going to be not cheering you on, the people are going to that care for you. And many times people reach out for people to be able to get the fuel going. And that's very, very important. And especially this year, how things have changed so much. But we are very creative natures. We have strengths and values within ourselves. When we do a lot of self inventory, I use the word a lot because I mean, you can find some ideas when you read, you can find ideas when you're talking to people, but there's so much resources within yourself. Just because you feel, well, I didn't go to school for long, I didn't go to college, that doesn't mean anything in terms of you are a walking library. And of course, the older we become, the bigger the library gets, because we have learned through the process of things. And even though in times fear is always going to come and try to bite you back, but when you are in the learning zone, you already have passed all the doubts, all the right. Things that. But I am a firm believer, and I know, and just for myself and my clients that I work with, we begin with looking at strengths and values that you have within yourself, and people are amazed to discover what they have. So when I said about an inventory about self transformation and within yourself, you'll be amazed what's inside yourself. And that you can use as a big tool, as a weapon to be able to keep moving forward and adapting to the changes that we're experiencing right now in life, and calling it the survival mode. Be able to sustain life in many different ways. Another thing that I was going to add here, I think we covered that part. Anything else? Anyone want to add something else?
Martha?
Yes.
When people are in survival mode, if they realize they are more alive than ever, when they're happy, they kind of go to sleep a little. But when you're in survival, believe me, you tingle with aliveness. I just wanted to add that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, it's give you the fuel to, not just motivated, but keeping alive, keeping moving, and not just walking, but just that flame within you, that in your belly that is burning every day, and just keeping moving forward. Okay, so I hope everyone is learning some of the ideas that we're covering here, that just take it home and just sit on that and decide, my God, that's so true. And that's something, my gosh, I just didn't even think about. Exploring things within myself, within each of us, that we can find many answers, but we're afraid to go inside, we're afraid to feel, and that can get in the way as well. So as we go into the growth zone, I love this zone, which I call the peak zone, where now we just feel like on top of the world. Now we feel like we just bring in so much from this end, from, going from the fear and then going to, lessons learned, you growing. So we all gonna be, even when we get to the growth zone, we're still learning, because that's what's going to make the zone grow bigger, larger. And we talk about self-assessment to get our strengths, find our strengths and values. But some of the things that I wrote here, and I'll just say them real quick. The first one is begin to set new goals. To me, when you begin to do that, you have a purpose in life, and you want to make those go live and create some action steps to be able to create some real goals. Is things that are going to help me find a purpose, live dreams, think of others, and find ways to help them. We can fuel ourselves and our purpose by helping others, and that is just so well said. Could be someone that is sick and we want to help them, or maybe someone like right now, everybody could use an extra virtual hug or an extra word, extra phone call. And, there is just, that is part of being on that growth zone. You will begin to grow in so many different directions. Make your talents and gifts available for other people. Live in the present and focus on the future. Be empathetic, appreciate others. That's another one that I keep here. Look for ways every day to adapt yourself to the new changes. If we stay closed, if we are not thinking outside the box, like Julian said, we're going to stand, we're going to get stuck, and we're not going to grow. Spiritual, physical, mind is not. Be in the state of quietude. People says gratitude, but quietude is a word that is hardly used. And quietude means state of stillness. And that, I go back to what I said a few minutes ago about when we're quiet and people are afraid of that. Many people, that's when you begin to go back into within yourself and find so many ideas and answers for you. Seek solutions. One thing that I remember my grandfather, I was very close to my grandfather, and he always told me at an early age, if something is not working, try something else. So you have that gift. You are able to control that if this is not working, I can either tweak it, I can change. So you have the choice to try something new, something else. There's always a solution for every well-defined problem. Let's see what else I have here. Seek comfort in change. So again, when we have our minds open, we're open-minded people, and we allow to accept the changes that are happening, and finding comfort in whatever you're doing. That's another part of growth. So, Asha?
Well, to me, growth is a handmaiden to change. And
love that.
It should be looked at as an adventure instead of fear. But because of today's times, many times it is very fearful. But if you keep yourself centered and in the now, you can alleviate a lot of the fears. It's also real important to start to begin to understand who you are, know yourself, because with that, you'll alleviate a lot of the junk. Because we have these patterns in ourselves that have been there forever. But once we start to recognize and start to clear out a lot of this stuff, we'll be building a firm foundation for the future, for the now. And life is almost forcing us to do that now. I mean, there's nowhere to go, basically, but within. And that's where all the answers are. And look at growth as an adventure, and it'll make your life a lot happier. And I guess that's all I have to say about that. But life is an adventure. And oh, here's something. How do you look at life? Is the glass half empty or half filled? And also, do you have a philosophy? And what is your philosophy? All questions that you can look at and think about, and you will grow in a good direction, like a strong tree.
For
That's
sure.
it.
Yeah. Lynn? Oh, I think you froze again. Can you hear us?
Sorry.
Yeah, you still froze.
Can you guys hear me?
No, you still froze.
Sorry.
It's quite all right. I know our time is coming up here, and I wanted to add at the end here, there's 3 reflections I want to close with. ask yourself, what is holding you back? And reflect on that. Remember, if you can name it, you can claim it. Make conscious decisions, not based from emotions. Face your fears and move them. And what lessons am I to learn from this right now? And not fight it. Just be in there in a moment and just ask yourself that question. The second, seek solutions. What is it that I need to accept and let go and find answers? How can I cultivate that and able just to construct something that is authentic for myself? And the last, keep expanding the growth zone. You don't have to be just stay on the one zone. Just keep moving forward, get bigger and grow bigger by challenging your limits and looking for solutions. And when you do that, there is nothing you cannot achieve. 2020, our year of growth. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you enjoyed this topic. Thank you.